they fail so hard at giving prompt, helpful responses or getting the follow through done the first time. Like, why wouldn't you make this a priority? Hello, comic book fans, and welcome back to Comics Rediscovered. If you're thinking of submitting to one of the three grading companies but not sure who should get your money, I've been doing an all-encompassing comparison of the three major companies. You've selected your books, they're ready to send, but what about the turnaround times? When will your books get back to you? Also, nothing ever goes as planned, or you might have some questions. So how do these companies do in regards to customer service? Stick around for the comparison of the turnaround times and customer service from CGC, CBCS, and PGX. All right, before we jump into this discussion, I've already done pre-submission videos, unboxing for each company, and a review of the submission process and price. All those links will be down below, and if you want to follow along, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. So the first thing I want to talk about is the customer service experience from these companies. Everything was done via email or using their customer service messaging requests on the respective websites. Firstly, I sent the same message to each of the companies asking about the submission I had just made, and here is the response times from each. The initial email was sent on June the 6th asking about the status of my orders. CBCS responded on June the 7th with an answer. CGC also responded on June the 7th asking about a tracking number, and PGX didn't initially respond, but I did get a shipping response on June the 9th, basically telling me my order is already on its way back. When expecting responses after the first request, it was generally all over the place. CGC was consistent with the response times, although the responses were usually not very helpful, so the time is a bit of a moot point. When I did have a problem with the broken cases in the last shipment that I got, they were reasonably quick to resolve it, about a week via the emails. I was initially told it was a 2-week return for fixing the books, and this seems to be wrong, as it took about 5 weeks to be marked as returned. So to ship the books out, get them repaired, and get them back, it was roughly about a month to a month and a half before I actually got those books back. I've unboxed those books and can report they are indeed fixed. +1 for CGC. CBCS was all over the place, sometimes replying to one of my inquiries within a day or two, and sometimes not at all. The non-responses are in relation mostly to the scratch cases that I had. Initially, the customer service agent responded pretty quickly within a couple days. However, once they handed the matter off to their shipping department in order to send me a waybill, the customer service dropped off. I hadn't had a response of any sort in over a month. I replied to the initial customer service agent, and he quickly handled the matter directly. Again, the time to send the books and then the time to get them back is pretty long. However, for PGX, they returned my books so quickly, I couldn't send any additional inquiries, and the books did not suffer any damage, requiring me to message them or send them back for repairs. I did, however, submit a request for grader's notes, which I got no acknowledgement or no response at all. It was well over a month, and I've basically just dropped the matter because I've gotten no response. So, after all that, I'd have to say, as far as customer service goes, dealing with customer problems or inquiries, it doesn't seem to be a priority for either of these three companies, which is a real letdown. For the amount of money that gets spent, you would think that responding to questions and concerns would be a high-level concern or priority for these companies, but currently it all feels like an afterthought. So this has to be one of the most talked about comparisons outside of how the labels look. This one is easy to compare, both theoretically since they all post average times on their websites, and realistically. I sent the packages to each company on the same day with the same service, the same number of books using the same express shipping, and the same return using FedEx. So let's quickly look at the posted times from when I first sent these books in. So for a CGC Modern, at the time, it was 106 days turnaround, or with a Fast Pass, 47 days. PGX Modern was 30 days, with an Express promising 12 days. And CBCS was approximately 30 days, with the Fast Pass promising 15-ish days. So having a look at the turnaround times in reality, I shipped all 3 packages out on May the 13th via Canada Post Express. PGX had it delivered to them and they acknowledged it on May the 19th. And I received it back at my house on June the 11th. That's less than 1 month from when I sent it from the post office to when it returned on my doorstep. CBCS had it delivered to them and they acknowledged it on May the 20th. Again, they received it and acknowledged the shipment on the same day. I received it back at my house on June the 21st, almost exactly a 1 month turnaround. CGC, however, had the package delivered on May the 21st, but they did not acknowledge receiving my package until July the 20th. Basically a month for them to acknowledge that they even had my package, even though I knew that it had been delivered. From then, I didn't receive the package until late August, sometime around the 20th or 21st. So if we have a look at the actual times compared to the posted times, with PGX, the result was 24 days from receiving the package to having it back on my doorstep. With CBCS, it was a little bit longer, by about a week. It was 33 days from the time they received the package to the time I received it back. Again, both of these are within the timetable, a little bit longer than they're promised. Some of that might have to do with me being in Canada and requiring longer shipping times from when it leaves their facility to when it gets to me, because it does have to go through the border process. However, with CGC, their promise of 47 days was quite far off. The result from May the 21st when they received the package to August the 20th when I received the package was 91 days, almost double what they promised as a turnaround time with a FastPass. So unfortunately, I can't confidently say any of these companies have great customer service. They fail so hard at giving prompt, helpful responses or getting the follow-through done the first time. Like, why wouldn't you make this a priority? I will say most things eventually do get resolved. However, it was neither timely or without frustration or annoyance. Having to track down reps or send multiple messages is not good customer service. No one wins here. CGC got my cases fixed, so did CBCS, but both were minor frustration. PGX had nothing to fix, but for some reason can't respond to a simple grader note request. I will say in the past, dealing with the Canadian office for CBCS, I've had good friendly service, but if it's not consistent, then maybe I just got lucky. Also, with CGC in past orders, I've had quick replies, and others with absolutely no help. So it's all over the place. I know a lot of dealers say CGC has good customer service. However, in my opinion, as a consumer customer, if you're hoping for consistently excellent customer service, it isn't in comic grading in my experience. So customer service is hit or miss. What about turnaround times? Flatly, PGX wins. If we're only looking at turnaround times, PGX was the fastest door-to-door. From the day I left my house to ship the parcels to the day it arrived on my doorstep was exactly 1 month. Based on the fact that I'm in Canada and there is border delays, that's a pretty damn good turnaround time. CBCS was right there as well. It arrived in the CBCS offices a day after arriving in the PGX offices. It had a little further to go, and it arrived back at my house, a week after PGX. I was actually shocked at how quickly both of these companies returned my books using the FastPass service. Well, what about CGC? If you've been paying attention online lately, you know their turnaround times have been much delayed and much discussed. I have to say I had the same experience. It was way slower than either of the other two companies. And you can't even make the argument that it's because of the quality, because I had almost half my order come back with cracked cases and had to be sent back for reholdering. I could have sent 2 more orders out to PGX and CBCS and had them back in time for the initial CGC order to get back to my house. So, let me know, what do you prioritize when submitting books? I'm interested to see where everyone stands. I think I'm somewhere between, a mix of speed and quality. Anyone even considering turnaround times in their decision should just rule out CGC. They're so slow. Where does that leave us? Customer service? No one wins. In fact, the customer loses. It's a game of chance whether or not you're getting adequate customer service with these companies. It basically becomes a wash. As far as turnaround times, I would say CBCS, or if you want really fast, it's PGX. And if you do plan to submit to CGC, please don't complain about the turnaround times. You can just assume they'll be the slower of the three options. Okay, this is an afterthought, but we do have to acknowledge this. After I recorded this video, CBCS changed their price on 2-day modern and fast passes, as well as their posted turnaround times. As such, they are currently posting the same turnaround times as CGC. However, I think this is probably a case of telling you the worst, and if you arrive sooner, you're happy. They just aren't promising the quickness that I had before earlier in the summer. But we can essentially say any advantage CBCS may have had for the turnaround times is potentially now gone. As for the price, it is more expensive than it was, but it is still cheaper than CGC on a modern book with FastPass. The more these companies push back the dates and raise prices, the more likely I am to start using PGX for my PC books. Anyways, leave that comment below and make sure you're following along for the rest of this series. I will catch you in the next video.